Is the King of Bhutan getting married again? That's what the royal streets are whispering. But His Majesty, the King of Bhutan, Jigme Wangchuck, and his queen, Jetsun Pema, are not prepared to give up on love that easily. This Bhutanese royal duo has one of royalty's most enchanting love stories. In a place where traditional customs are still adopted and cherished, Jigme and Jetsun represent a modern couple going against age-old rules. But what about the Bhutanese law that states that a king's destiny is to share his throne with many wives and as many children? Well, King Jigme made an exception for his beloved queen Jetsun Pema. Ready to get the scoop? Keep watching to learn more about the King and Queen of Bhutan and their romance that transcends time. Before we unravel the joyous matrimony that culminated after Jigme and Jetsun's relationship, let's first see who the King of Bhutan is. Jigme Kesar Namgyal Wangchuck is the current King of Bhutan. Surprisingly, he is the fifth monarch to reign over Bhutan. The country only has a century-long history with the monarchy, with His Majesty King Jigme Wangchuck succeeding the throne after his father, Jigme Singye Wangchuck. The current King of Bhutan, King Jigme Wangchuck, was not born in Bhutan, but in Nepal. His father, the fourth King of Bhutan, received news of his birth on February 21, 1980. His mother was Ashi Chering Yangdong, the third wife of King Jigme Singye Wangchuck. Contrary to popular belief, the Crown Prince did not receive all his education in foreign lands. Prince Jigme attended a public high school in Thimphu, and after that, he pursued his education in the UK, where he graduated from Magdalen College at Oxford University. King Jigme is regarded as a monarch with a more modern approach due to his foreign studies. Before ascending the throne, King Jigme would follow his father throughout the kingdom on different tours while learning the basics of kingship from an early age. The then Crown Prince Jigme was described as approachable and humble, and would regularly speak to the people on tour. Other less-known facts about His Majesty, the then Crown Prince Jigme Namgyal, are his passions for gardening and photography. Even during his early ruling years, the prince supported artists and writers and regularly invited them to his palace in Thimphu. Besides being an epitome of humility, the Crown Prince was Bhutan's pride, representing the country in numerous international events. More recently, King Jigme Wangchuck gave his first speech to the United Nations, in which he highlighted the importance of welfare for impoverished children around the world. Before that, the popularly known Dasho Kesar of Bhutan ascended the throne rather unusually. Although abdication was a practice incorporated by monarchs in the past, it was unusual for a father to step down in favor of their crown prince. However, in 2005, King Jigme Singye Wangchuck declared his intention to abdicate and immediately hand over responsibility to his son. On December 9, 2006, the former king issued a royal edict announcing his abdication and throne transfer to his son, Jigme Kesar Namgyal Wangchuck. His Majesty the King of Bhutan Jigme Namgyal Wangchuck was crowned in Punakajong on November 6, 2008. This was a significant occasion as his crowning marked the 100th anniversary of the Bhutanese monarchy. But King Jigme is not only the fifth reigning monarch of Bhutan, he also became the youngest monarch in the world at only 26 years of age. As per tradition, the current king, or Druk Gyalpo Jigme Kesar Namgyal Wangchuck, received the sacred dar, which is a scarf passed down to the kings of Bhutan from generation to generation. The coronation ceremony was marked by numerous public and religious celebrations held at the Tashichojong and Changlimi Stadium in Thimphu. The festivities included tons of ancient Eastern religious rituals, while the invitations were extended to foreign dignitaries and other royal members from around the world. One key guest was the then President of India, Pratibha Patil. The new king Jigme Kesar Namgyal Wangchuck was loved by his people and warmly welcomed as the incoming Kesar of Bhutan. Civilians celebrated the joyous occasion by decorating every traffic circle with fresh flowers, painting street walls and signs in various colors, hanging posters, festive banners, and so much more. Although the former king Jigme Singye surprised his people by abdicating the throne ahead of time, the nation's doubt was quickly curbed once the new king Jigme Namgyal gave his first speech. He assured the nation that he would lead them with his father's policies in mind. His first appearance sparked a media frenzy, especially during a visit to Thailand in 2008, where he gained a legion of female fans. Even then, the Thai media granted him the title of Prince Charming. No kingship is complete without a queen, and Bhutan has a long history of matrimony. Interestingly, Bhutan has a law that allows a woman to be wed to multiple husbands. That's right! In Bhutan, a woman can marry her husband's brothers, but one is considered her husband legally. Only the King of Bhutan is permitted to marry multiple wives, preferably their wife's sisters. This was the instance with the former King of Bhutan, King Jigme Singye Wangchuck, who had 4 wives, all related. However, the modern king, Jigme Namgyal Wangchuck, rejected this rule and made an exception in the name of true love. The new and reformed king favored love above everything and decided to remain faithful to one wife for the rest of his life. King Jigme Wangchuck married his longtime sweetheart and confidant, Jetsun Pema, on October 13, 2011, a significant date according to astrologists. But their love story was more than just their wedding date. Their bond started years before, when Jetsun Pema was just a little girl and the crown prince was a young 17-year-old gentleman. The first time the prince laid eyes on Jetsun, he knew she was special and destined for great things. He promised the young girl that he would marry her and make her queen one day, when she was of ripe age, of course. Her answer captured his heart immediately, showing the 7-year-old girl's wit and intellect. Only if I don't find anyone better and you remember your promise. In a country that strongly believes in reincarnation and fate, this meeting was a prelude to their loving union more than a decade later. Meanwhile, Jetsun Pema blossomed into a brilliant young woman with radiant beauty and extraordinary education, scoring a scholarship in India. 4 years after ascending the throne, the new king honored his promise. He remembered the beautiful, quick-witted girl and proposed to her. Jetsun Pema was now the embodiment of wisdom, elegance, and poise, the most desirable features in a queen. King Jigme Wangchuck married Jetsun Pema with a blessing from the High Lama of Tibet on October 11, 2011. Their wedding was marked in a traditional Bhutanese ceremony with many royals and officials from all over the world in attendance. The nuptials were Bhutan's largest media event in history. Once the Dragon King crowned his consort, he formally transformed them into the Queen of the Kingdom of Bhutan. Queen Jetsun Pema became the youngest queen in the world, widely acclaimed and admired for her beauty, intelligence, and kind heart. Another moment that went completely viral was the unexpected kiss King Jigme gave Queen Jetsun, which sealed their union in the eyes of the country. What was once unthinkable in a conservative country like Bhutan became a genuine gesture of affection. The new king and queen ushered in a new era, where love would not be met with scorn, but admiration and pride. Although a bold move, the kiss that signified a new union was celebrated throughout the kingdom. It stood against the ancient customs and echoed Bhutan's evolving mindset and spirit. Their love transcended and intertwined with tradition, a breath of fresh air in conservative Bhutan. The royal couple, dubbed the Himalayan Prince William and Kate Middleton, had a few public appearances before the wedding. Thousands of spectators gathered to witness Their Majesty the King and Queen of Bhutan bless the streets of Thimphu. The stroll was a prelude to the modest life they would build together. Instead of golden palaces and ever-expanding mansions, the new Bhutanese royal couple opted to stay in a single-story home, calling it the Royal Family Home. It is a much simpler choice compared to other royals and their spouses. Their home mirrored their tastes and needs in life. It was a place where their love could freely flourish without the heavy burden of the crown. Queen Jetsun proved herself as a real partner in governance, helping her husband with his duties while also maintaining her own. She championed health, education, and culture reform with multiple tangible achievements. The King and Queen of Bhutan, King Jigme and Queen Jetsun, quickly expanded their family. Together, they welcomed 2 princes, Kesar and Ukyen. Once his first son was born, King Jigme never left Jetsun's side, breaking another unusual custom in the country. Their second son only deepened the bond. Today, the Queen accompanies King Jigme on international forums. Recently, His Majesty the King and Queen of Bhutan were officially received in Mongolia, where they captivated the world with their unity and grace. The young Bhutanese royal couple draws parallels with another young royal couple, Prince William and Kate Middleton. Although colleagues, Britain's Prince William and Kate were drawn to Bhutan's majestic tranquility, as well as the love story between the rulers. Their commitment, interwoven with the destiny of a nation, was inspirational for William and Kate, who share a subtle kingship too. Queen Jetsun introduced Kate to the art of archery, while the king confided in the future British monarch his heartwarming tale of love triumphing over tradition. Although the king made a promise to one woman, Bhutan's century-long polygamy tradition contrasted with the king's singular devotion. It was dictated that aristocrats marry multiple wives, while commoners share a single wife among several men. The king's father, former King Senki, followed the custom by marrying 4 sisters and had 10 children. In a bold move, King Jigme became an exception. The new king chose love over legacy, declaring that his heart and throne belonged to Jetsun alone. However, this decision came with other expectations. For a king to break from tradition, a member of the royal family has to be the remedy. So King Jigme's brother Dorju embraced tradition in his brother's name and married Yatso, one of Queen Jetsun's sisters. Although at first it seemed like the king's brother was only following his duty, he and Yatso had formed genuine affection toward one another. Prince Dorju later also pledged the new modern mantra of monogamy, leaving the remaining queen sister a whisper among palace walls. This royal wedding also got a stamp of approval from the former King Singi, who, along with his 4 wives, graced everyone with their presence. They also accepted Prince Dorji's decision with bittersweet smiles, having no other choice but to welcome the dawn of a new era where love is above the rule. King Jigme V continued his father's plan for incorporating democracy in Bhutan. During his rule, he oversaw the implementation of the Constitution of Bhutan, giving his people the democracy his father strived for. The new king always had hopes of improving the lives of the people of Bhutan, so one of his first projects was building the National Cadastral Resurvey in March of 2009. Later in 2011, he launched the Kidu Foundation, a platform aimed to help people, especially children, the disabled, the elderly, and the sick, through government efforts. Another beneficial initiative started by the king was the Jetsun, Guardians of Peace, voluntary program. With this program, every citizen is invited to play an active role in nation-building and decision-making. It's one of the most successful projects started in Bhutan, with more than 20,000 volunteers training in the program. The king also showed great humility and respect for his people during the COVID-19 crisis, when His Majesty waived off interest on all loans for his Bhutanese citizens. Their loans were paid off by the king from his personal funds. Additionally, the king and queen would set up monthly funds to help out all individuals affected by the pandemic. Besides showing exceptional leadership skills during the COVID-19 pandemic, the king announced plans for economic growth. He envisioned transforming Gellifu City into an economic hub for Bhutan. The king has shown stunning growth as a ruler, respecting both tradition and innovation. He has modernized Bhutan while also preserving the culture. He is called by his people the People's King, a similar nickname given to Princess Diana. The story of King Jigme Namgyal Wangchuck and Queen Jetsun Pema is one for the history books and TV screens. A royal love drama straight out of a Tibetan fairy tale, and the first one breaking barriers with outdated traditions. The fateful encounter between King Jigme and Queen Jetsun proved to be fate, in a country where the Buddhist religion is a priority. In the eyes of their people, the Bhutanese king and queen never broke from tradition but elevated it, which is the true practice of Buddhism. As they lead Bhutan with kindness and wisdom, their love story remains a reminder of the power of true love and the happiness that comes with following your heart. As the king and queen of Bhutan continue to shape their nation with love and compassion, royal watchers around the world can't help but wonder, is their story really the last of the great royal romances? Or are there other exiled royals out there, quietly preparing to reclaim their throne? In fact, there's one former queen on the rise, with powerful allies stepping in to help her take back her crown. Why is Israel getting involved with this exiled Iranian queen's mission for power? Tap here to find out. It's a royal comeback story unlike anything you've heard.